Have you ever felt like you were a book that someone completely rewrote? I have. The blank pages where I once wrote my dreams, my passions, and my identity were torn apart and scribbled over by the hands of someone with a fragile ego. They didn't just walk into my life. They took the pen, rewrote the storyline, and left me staring at a version of myself I couldn't even recognize in the mirror. When the relationship ended, what do you think they wanted for you? Happiness? A fresh start where you'd rediscover your light and freedom? Not a chance. What they really wanted was for you to be the ashes left behind from the fire they set. They didn't walk away with blessings. They walked away hoping you'd stay smoldering in the darkness they created, never rising into your own flame. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, after all that pain, do you even remember who you used to be? Or have you gotten used to living as a shadow of the person they once stepped over? Today, we're going to peel back that veil. We're going to uncover what the narcissist secretly prays you'll do once they're gone. And more importantly, how you can destroy that plan and rise into the fullest version of who you really are. This isn't just a story about surviving, it's about rebirth. Imagine yourself as a magnificent castle. Not some fairy tale fantasy, but a real, solid structure built from bricks of self-respect, pillars of trust, and strong walls made from your sense of identity. The roof is your dreams, the windows are the light of your sincerity, and the open gate is your heart, ready to welcome love, connection, and life. The narcissist didn't enter your life as a guest to admire that beauty. They came like a demolition crew, armed with sledgehammers, explosives, and a detailed plan to tear it all down, not in one night, but slowly, quietly, day by day while you stood beside them. They don't just want to leave when the relationship ends, they want to make sure that when they walk out that door, you're no longer a castle, but a pile of scattered rubble, buried under dust and ashes, too broken to rebuild. They do this by attacking your foundation, the very thing that kept you grounded. Think about it. Maybe when you met them, you were the kind of person who walked into a room with confidence, a bright smile, and a voice full of life. But then came the seeds of doubt. "You think you're that good?" they'd say with a smirk. "Don't get ahead of yourself, you look ridiculous. At first you brushed it off as a joke. But those words started piling up, like acid eating away at stone, slowly corroding your confidence. And they didn't stop there. They went after the very pieces that made you who you are, the things you loved, the passions that once lit up your eyes. Maybe you loved painting, but they said your art was worthless until you finally threw your brushes away. Maybe you enjoyed jogging every morning, but they mocked your body, made you feel ashamed just tying your shoes. I once knew a woman who told me her ex, a narcissist, used to laugh whenever she sang in the kitchen. She had a beautiful voice, but after a few years she stopped singing altogether, even when she was alone. That's not a coincidence, that's a strategy. They want to take the precious gems from your castle, either to claim them as their own or to toss them into the abyss so you never find them again. And when they leave, what they truly hope for isn't that you'll be sad for a while and move on. No, they hope you'll stand in the ruins empty-handed, eyes lost, too drained to pick up a single brick. They want you to look in the mirror and see a failure, not because you are one, but because they've worked so hard to make you believe it. So ask yourself, what did they try to destroy in your castle? A passion, a dream, or the belief that you deserve light in your life? They didn't just want you to fall apart. They wanted you to willingly stay buried in the ashes, forever a ruin of the person they once controlled. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. The castle may fall, but the foundation, if you choose to fight for it, can always be rebuilt. Your true strength can't be taken from you unless you let them win. Destroying your castle was only the first step, but the narcissist is greedier than that. They want you to live like them, not as your true self, but as a ghost behind a mask, wandering through a script they wrote. Picture life as a grand stage. You walk onto it with an open heart, no makeup, ready to show up as your real self, scars, smiles, bad days, and brilliant moments alike. But the narcissist? They never step out from behind the curtain. They step painting a flawless mask, flashy, confident, untouchable. But if you look closely, you'll see that beneath the polish is a cold emptiness, a soul that's forgotten what sincerity even feels like. They envy you. Did you know that? They're jealous because you can cry when you're sad, laugh when you're joyful, and love without calculation. These are things they'll never be able to do, because they lost themselves long ago, buried under the fake persona they built. And since they can't live authentically, they make it their mission to ensure that you don't. They want you to wear a mask, not to shine like they do, but to hide your true self, to turn you into a distorted version of who you were, surviving by pretending you're fine, pretending you don't hurt, pretending you don't need anyone. How do they do this? By making every moment of authenticity feel like a threat. Think back. Maybe you spoke your mind, something small like not liking the movie they picked. And how did they react? They didn't just disagree, they attacked. "How stupid can you be?" they snapped. Or they went ice cold, so silent it made you feel like you didn't even exist. Maybe you cried when you were hurt and they called you weak, dramatic. Slowly, your nervous system started reacting not to them, but to yourself. Every time you tried to speak your truth, your throat tightened. Every time you felt an emotion rising, your body tensed in fear of being judged. You stopped being yourself. Not because you wanted to, but because it no longer felt safe to be you. I used to think I was shy, reserved, someone who avoided crowds, but then I realized that wasn't me. That was the mask I wore to survive years of being controlled by a narcissist. I remember the first time I tried to say no to them. My heart pounded, my hands shook, like I'd committed some unforgivable crime. They had trained me to believe that my real self was wrong, weak, undeserving of existence. And when they left, they hoped I'd keep wearing that mask forever, not to impress anyone, but to keep hiding from myself, to live like a ghost who no longer knows who they are. Think about it. Have you ever felt like you were playing a role in your own life, smiling when you weren't happy, agreeing when you wanted to say no, staying silent when your soul was screaming? That's not your personality. That's the scar they left behind, the protective mask you put on to avoid more pain. They want you to live like them, not because they care, but because they can't stand the idea of you taking off that mask and stepping into the light, while they stay trapped in their own darkness. But here's what they never expected. The mask may be heavy, but it's not permanent. You can take it off. Not all at once, not overnight, but piece by piece, you can rediscover your true face. And once your castle has crumbled, once you've grown accustomed to the cold weight of the mask, the narcissist lays their final trap, a sophisticated maze designed to keep you running forever without ever finding the exit. This isn't some harmless game with hedges and dead ends. It's a psychological prison, built from lies, poisoned whispers, and the masterful manipulation they've perfected over time. Before you even realize the relationship is over, they've already painted a twisted version of you in everyone else's eyes. Friends, family, even strangers. You're the villain, the troublemaker, the unstable one. And them, they're the poor, wounded victim emerging from the wreckage you supposedly caused. They start sooner than you think. Casual comments to friends. "She's so difficult. I don't know how much more I can take." Half-truths in texts to your loved ones. "He hurts me so much, but I'm still trying." They don't just walk away. They leave behind a carefully crafted smear campaign, turning you into the target of suspicion and judgment. And when you finally wake up, when you try to speak your truth, they smile from a distance, because they know you've stepped right into their trap. They want you to jump into that endless war, trying to prove you're not the monster they made you out to be. Imagine you're a mouse in a maze running through dark corridors, crashing into invisible walls, exhausted from chasing a way out. But here's the cruelest part. There is no exit. Not because you're not smart enough, but because this maze was built to keep you lost. Every time you shout, "That's not who I am," they twist the narrative with another smooth lie. Every time you reach out for help, they shrug and say, "I tried, but you see, she never changes." You can't win this game not because you're weak, but because you're real. And real people aren't trained to fight against professional deceivers who thrive on illusion. I've seen it in my own life. After the breakup, I found out he had told our mutual friends that I was controlling, that I made his life miserable. I spent months trying to explain, sending long messages, meeting people face to face to tell the truth. But the more I tried, the more drained I became. And then it hit me. They didn't care about the truth. What they wanted most was for me to keep running, because every step I took in that maze was one more moment I wasn't living for myself. That's what they crave most, for you to stay trapped in their labyrinth, wasting your energy trying to prove what doesn't need proving, while they sit back and feed off the attention like a twisted form of fuel. Ask yourself, have you ever felt like you were fighting a ghost, explaining, crying, begging to be believed? But no one really hears you, or worse, they look at you with doubt you don't deserve. That's not your failure, that's their victory. They want you to waste your time, your energy, your spirit on this pointless war, so you never look up and see the real path to freedom. They want you to stay a prisoner in the story they wrote, instead of becoming the author of your own life. But here's the secret they never wanted you to discover. You don't have to keep running. You can stop. You can turn around and walk away, not by winning the crowd, but by winning yourself. Now, you might be thinking that narcissists are demons, creatures born from darkness with black wings and cruel smiles, just waiting to ruin your life. But the truth is more complicated than that. They're not demons. They're empty souls, hollow shells wandering through life without a true core to hold on to. Picture an abandoned house, freshly painted on the outside, windows sparkling, seemingly beautiful. But the moment you push the door open, all you feel is cold wind blowing through empty walls. That's the narcissist. A polished exterior coated in arrogance, but inside there's no warmth, no life, no light. They do all these things, destroy your castle, force you to wear a mask, trap you in a maze. Not because they're strong or powerful, they do it because they're weak, because they're envious. You are a mirror reflecting everything they can never have. The ability to feel, the ability to heal, the ability to love without agenda. Science calls it narcissistic personality disorder, a spiral of deep insecurity where they must feed off others' light just to hide the shadows within themselves. They don't hate you for who you are, they hate you for being what they cannot become, and so they try to drag you down, not to lift themselves up, but to prove that no one can rise above the ashes they call a life. Think about this. If they were truly strong, would they need to destroy you? If they were truly confident, would they need to manipulate the world into believing you're the villain? No. The truth is, they need you more than you ever needed them. Not for love, but for survival. They are emotional vampires, feeding on your energy to keep their hollow shell glowing, because they have no flame of their own to light the way. So why did they choose you? Not because you're weak. Don't ever believe that lie. They chose you because you're strong. Because you were a prize they wanted to possess, to hang on the wall like a trophy to validate their worth. Think back. Before they entered your life, you had light in your eyes. You had a vitality that others admired. Maybe you didn't even realize it, but they did, and they wanted it. They didn't pick you out of the trash, they set their sights on you at your peak, because you were a mountain they wanted to conquer, not out of love, but out of ego. But in order to keep you, they had to make you doubt your worth. They planted questions in your mind. Am I enough? Am I the problem? They made you carry guilt for wounds they inflicted, as if you were the one holding the knife. I once met a man who, after being discarded by a narcissist, sat for hours staring into space, wondering if he really was the terrible person she said he was. But then he realized he wasn't the problem. He was the one who survived a storm she never had the courage to face herself. And so did you. You are not the garbage they threw away. You're the light they tried to extinguish but couldn't. They need you to believe the destruction was your fault. Because if you ever woke up to your real power, they'd lose everything. Stop asking yourself, what did I do wrong? And start asking, What can I reclaim from what they took? Because you are not just a survivor. You are the fire they could never contain, and now it's time for you to burn bright. The narcissist wants you to stay a collapsed castle forever, but you don't have to remain there. Time doesn't heal. Don't fall for that sweet-sounding lie. If someone crashes into you and breaks your leg, you don't just sit and hope it heals on its own. You see a doctor, you get a cast, you learn to walk again, step by painful step. The wounds from a narcissist are no different, except they're not on your skin. They're buried deep in your soul and your nervous system, in the way you see yourself. And they require action to heal, not just time, not just wishful thinking. Start small, today. Grab a notebook and write down 5 things you used to love before they came into your life. Not big things, but the little pieces that made you you. Maybe it was the smell of morning coffee, the feeling of running in the rain, or the joy of reading a book without interruption. These aren't just hobbies, they're breadcrumbs leading you back home to yourself. Then each day, try one thing on that list. No pressure to be perfect, no need to rush. Every brick you lay back in place is a victory, a quiet reminder that you are no longer their ruins. Picture yourself 5 years from now, no trace of them, no echo of fear. You're standing in a new castle, not one handed to you, but one you built with your own hands. Maybe the walls are a little uneven, maybe the roof still has patches, but it's yours, and no one can tear it down again. They can't keep you in the ashes unless you abandon yourself. The next step is to take off the mask they forced you to wear. Living authentically isn't easy. I know, because I've been there. There are days when you'll want to hide behind that protective shell because it feels safe, because it's familiar. But that's not you. That's the version of you they wanted, a dim shadow, silent, disconnected, afraid to feel. You deserve so much more than that. Try this. The next time you want to say no, but fear creeps in, pause. Take a deep breath, not a shallow one, but a full breath that fills your lungs, like you're pulling life back into your body, reclaiming the vitality they tried to steal. Listen to your body. That shaky feeling isn't weakness, it's a scar, a memory of all the times you were hurt, and it can be healed. Every day, stand in front of a mirror and say, I am enough. I don't need anyone to validate that. Say it again and again, not to convince others, but to convince yourself, until you can feel the power behind every word. I learned to take off the mask the day I said no for the first time to someone who used to control me. I was shaking, I was scared, but the world didn't fall apart. And with every time I stood up for myself, the mask began to fall away, revealing the real me. Not perfect, but alive. You can do the same. The mask may feel heavy, but it's not permanent. You can take it off, one moment, one breath, one choice at a time. And finally, stop running through their maze. You don't need to prove the truth to people who don't want to hear it. That's their game, not yours. They've written a narrative about you, but you are not a character in their script. Your truth is your power, and it doesn't need anyone's permission to be real. If the whispers from the crowd they created still echo in your mind, disconnect. Log off social media, step away from judgmental eyes, and come home to yourself. Every day, give yourself just 10 minutes to do something just for you. Not to explain, not to prove, but simply to feel that you are still alive. Maybe it's sitting by the window with a cup of tea, listening to the birds sing, or writing down a thought you've always been afraid to say out loud. These aren't small things. They are the first steps out of the maze. They don't own your story, you hold the pen. And when you walk away, you'll see the world is far bigger than the walls they built around you. You don't have to fight to be believed, you just have to believe in yourself. They want you to crumble, to wear the mask, to lose your way, but today, you've seen the path to rise, to live authentically, and to be free. You are no longer the ashes they left behind. You are the fire they could never extinguish. Imagine it. Every step you take from here is a gust of wind that fuels your light, brighter, stronger, fiercer, until their darkness becomes nothing more than a fading wisp of smoke in the air. You are not the ruins of the past. You are the flame of the future. If you're ready to rise again, walk this journey with me. Join my community, a space where we rebuild from the ashes together, where you are never alone in this healing. And right now, in the comments, tell me, what's the first thing you're reclaiming from them? A buried dream, a stolen smile, or the version of you that existed before they ever showed up? You are not their victim. You are a warrior who survived the storm. Not just survived, but ready to ignite. They don't get to define you, because you are the one holding the fire now, and it's time to let it light up the world. Don't let them dim you for one more second. Rise up, shine, and live, because you deserve it, and no one can take it from you again. I'll see you in that light, where you truly belong.